Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be unboxing the M3 MacBook Air in the color Starlight. If you watched my iPad Air unboxing video, I mentioned how I love the color Starlight and it is honestly just so pretty. So for some context, my last MacBook was a 2021 M1 MacBook Pro in the color Space Gray, and I was honestly a little skeptical about getting an Air because I feel like the specs for Pros are generally better, and my last laptop is not that old, but I was really struggling sometimes to do things like editing or when I had multiple Adobe apps open, so I was like, okay, we'll give the new Air with the highest specs a try and kind of see how that goes, and I'll share some of my thoughts and how it's been throughout the video, so make sure you stay tuned until the end. So when you open the box, you have the laptop and it also comes with a charging cord and brick. I'm not sure what the plastic circle was, but the cord for the new MacBooks now have this rope texture as well, which I love. I think it just looks a lot better and it doesn't tangle as easily, but there is a downside, which is that it gets more dirty and I think it becomes more obvious and also harder to clean. The cord has one side USB-C and the other side is MagSafe, which I am so happy about. I'm just so happy that MagSafe is back because I dented my last laptop. I didn't realize, but my chair was pulling on the cord and then it fell and it hit the corner of my wall. So now my wall board is a bit dented and so is my laptop, which is not great. So I'm so happy that there is MagSafe again. There is also the user manual, which I always look forward to seeing because the design is just always so beautiful, so clean and so minimal. There is also a charging brick which has two ports, which I was so surprised by because I didn't actually know that they had this, but this is really good if you're traveling. You can charge both your phone and laptop with just the same brick, and of course if you have minimal charging outlets as well, like this is just perfect. And of course there are the Apple stickers, which have this sort of shine to it and also matches the color Starlight. I'd say the color is sort of in between a gold and a silver. The M3 MacBook Air is available in 4 colors, which is silver, space gray, starlight, and midnight, which is like this kind of deep blue color. And the other thing was that it was the same thickness throughout. So I know with some of the older MacBook Airs, they had like one side that was thinner, but with this one, it's just the same thickness throughout. And it also felt around the same weight as my previous Pro, so I feel like I didn't really notice it being a lot lighter or anything like that. I do love, however, that there is now a separate charging slot because you can actually now use the 2 USB ports at the same time, which is great, and the other side has a headphone jack as well. So I've had this laptop for around a week now, and I would say that the first thing is I was quite surprised by the speed. I didn't transfer everything over because I had so many things on my old MacBook Pro that I just needed to declutter and clean, so I thought I would just slowly migrate it over when I needed something. So I kind of knew that it would be a bit faster, but I didn't really expect it to be this fast, because like opening an app like After Effects, it loads so quickly, when on my old MacBook it would probably take like sometimes close to a minute, or when I click on something it would give like rainbow spinning wheel. But on this MacBook it has probably only appeared 2 or 3 times, and I genuinely sometimes forget that it's an Air, because yeah, like I would say it kind of outperforms my Pro, and I am kind of interested to see how things will be once there are more files on there, or I am doing some larger projects, whether it would still handle them the same. The other issue that I had with my Pro is that sometimes I wouldn't be able to open 2 Adobe apps at the same time without feeling like my computer was going to crash, or like the rainbow spinning wheel just spinning a lot. With the Air, I haven't had any issues with that yet, but I have found that sometimes rendering can be a little bit of a challenge. But honestly, overall, I'm pretty impressed by how it has been handling everything. Also, the battery life has been amazing. Like, I've used it at uni for 7 hours almost consistently, and I've had no heating issues or battery issues yet. I think there has only been one day where I've had to charge it during the day, but otherwise it's lasted me the whole day on one charge. Halfway through setting up the MacBook, it went on low battery, so I realized when I went to go and charge it that the size of the charging bricks are actually quite different. So the one on the left was the charging brick from my MacBook Pro, and then the one on the right is the one for the new MacBook Air. And there is actually quite a significant difference in their size, so I feel like this will be really good, especially if you do bring your charger around a lot. Like, it will save so much space in your bag, and it's also a bit lighter as well. In terms of some of the main physical differences between the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air, the first one I noticed was that there was like no visible speakers, and at one point I thought maybe it was like under the keyboard, but I actually think it's in that slot between the screen and the keyboard, like where it connects. The trackpad size is also a little bit smaller, but honestly I don't feel like it makes that big of a difference, because previously mine had the touch bar, which sort of took up a little bit less space than the keys that are on the keyboard now. And with the touch bar, I feel like it was really cool in theory, but I know some of my friends and also myself, like, we never really used it except for turning up the brightness or the sound, so I feel like I never really got the full potential out of it. The thickness around the screen is also thinner, and I feel like even though it doesn't look like it's that much of a difference, when you're viewing the screen, I feel like it does feel like it is larger. The only thing I don't like about it is probably the notch. I feel like on the iPhone it didn't really bother me, but there are certain instances where it can be a little bit frustrating. So for example, when I go into preview on InDesign, especially if it's a white background, you can always see like a tiny bit of the notch, and I can zoom in or zoom out, but when I go to the next slide, the same thing happens, and it's just a tiny bit off, which can be a little bit visually distracting when I'm trying to look at like the design as a whole, because there's always a tiny bit of the notch or the whole notch if you zoom in. But I feel like if you're using it for mainly like day-to-day purposes like note-taking or like writing an essay, then it probably wouldn't bother that much. That would be the only thing I wish was probably a little bit different. Otherwise, I feel like this MacBook has been really good so far. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see like a 1 month or 2 month update on the MacBook Air, probably when I have a bit more files and I've used it a little bit more. I have one about the iPad Air which I'll have linked in the description below, and also my thoughts on whether getting an iPad is worth it for students. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below and whether you're thinking about getting the new MacBook Air or the MacBook Pro, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!